How is everybody doing? We're going to take a look at The Miracle by Queen. This album was released in May 1989. This is the 2015 half-speed mastered 180 gram heavyweight black vinyl pressing. Miracle. Now this is an album that's always been a little bit strange to me. Firstly, I don't like the cover, and even as time has gone on, it just looks pretty disturbing. I don't know what it is. I just don't like it. I don't like the way the four heads are just joined together. It just looks really strange. It's like something you'd see from a kind of a heavy metal band, you know, really hardcore. You know, it's actually quite disturbing. Yeah, I don't really like it. It's cutting edge for the time, I guess. Whatever software they used, but I don't really like it. It's not a nice album cover. It's actually the worst Queen album cover, and the back is no better. It's just a wall of eyes. Very creepy. Very creepy. But yeah, this album was always a bit strange to me because it was the first Queen album that came out since A Kind of Magic in 1986. It was a 3-year gap, and Queen toured with A Kind of Magic, the Magic Tour. I saw them on that tour, thankfully. 1986 was Queen's year, really. It kind of all kicked off at Live Aid on July 13th, 1985. Queen stole the show, and then the rest is history, really. 1986 was their year. 87, Mercury released The Great Pretender in the start of the year, and then Barcelona in the autumn. 88 was the Barcelona period, and then there was nothing more after that. The Miracle came along in May 1989. And what's kind of the strange about it is that there was going to be no tour, and Freddie didn't want to tour. So that was a kind of a red flag, really. But we didn't know at the time, you know, he was starting to get ill. Nobody knew, really, except people who read the gutter press, and that was horrible. So it's a strange one that way. It was going to be no tour, and it was probably the first Queen album to be released that there was going to be no tour. So we were thinking, why not, you know? It would have been great, and it would have been a big tour, because this album was quite big. It was 5 singles came off this. So the inner bag, that's got all the lyrics. Pretty boring kind of design, really. It's kind of like wallpaper. Produced by Queen and David Richards. They had moved away from Mac, and David Richards was now the producer. He was involved in Mountain Studios in Switzerland. All tracks performed exclusively by Queen, so now you had to guess who was writing what, but that was not very hard to do. There's some good tracks on it. You can see here that Mercury has got no moustache any longer, you know, but he looks okay, you know, he doesn't look like he's ill or anything like that. But we didn't know, and that was the thing. Again, this one was a Bob Ludwig remaster, and the half-speed vinyl mastering was by Miles Showell at Abbey Road Studios. So side 1 kicks off with Party, and you know, again, I know a lot of people might like this and they mightn't like it, but I think it's a very weak opener. I remember buying this when it came out, the day it came out. I was in a record shop waiting for it, and a courier dropped it in, and they opened the box, and there was a box from Parlophone or EMI or wherever the hell, and it had vinyl inside in it, and it had CD copies and cassette copies, and I grabbed a CD. You know, I was trying to be sophisticated back in '89. The CD had extra tracks as well, you see. Then you have Khashoggi's Ship, and again, you know, the lyrics kind of childish. It's kind of almost like a leftover riff. There's other stuff in the sessions that would have been definitely better here, you know. I just think it's they're you know, they're very weak opening tracks for an album from a band that was as big as Queen and hadn't had an album for 3 years. It's a poor opener. They're just throwaway, you know, I really think they are. Then you have The Miracle itself. I like that track, it's great. I think Mercury wrote that. It's very complex. What I do find with it though is that the guitar solo is all over the place, and it kind of goes into this kind of, you know, phasing and panning and all this kind of stuff before the final refrain comes in. And I like the end of the song, you know, it's just like, yeah, two of them are tacked together slightly crudely. There's a kind of an abrupt chop or something, like it's a bit funny. That's the only thing I could fault with it, but it is a good song. It's the first good song of the album. I Want It All is a great rocker. I reckon Brian May wrote that, and that was a top 5 single as far as I know, May 1989. And then The Invisible Man. Again, I never liked this. It's very Euro pop. It kind of reminds me of kind of techno that was coming out at the time, and I don't like the way that the band members' names are shouted out in it. Yeah, it's Roger Taylor again, I reckon. Yeah, but I don't really like the track. I don't enjoy listening to it. It's not one of my favourites. Flipping over to side 2, you've got Breakthrough. That's great. I love it. It chugs along. There was a great video for it as well, of a train in the Neen Valley Railway in Cambridgeshire or Peterborough, I can't remember. Somewhere in England. It was used in the James Bond movie as well, Octopussy, as far as I know. I could be wrong. Please comment, correct me if I'm wrong. Rain Must Fall. Sounds like a Deacon track. It's kind of a little bit like Motown and stuff. It's, yeah, the lyric doesn't do much for me. Yeah, it's a bit kind of forced. You know, it's not one of my favourite. I don't like the way the kind of instrumentals are in it. You know, this kind of percussion and stuff. It sounds like it's done on Atari, or it's, you know, it sounds like it's all plonked in or something like that. I mean, The Miracle is a digital recording as far as I know. I mean, probably digital tape, but there's a bit of sequencing, a bit of sampling going on here as well. You know, it's a different way of making music. Scandal, I like that. That's a great track about the press hounding people, and they were doing that in the last few years of Freddie's life. I pity it didn't make Greatest Hits 2. It should have, instead of The Invisible Man. But The Invisible Man was a bigger hit. My Baby Does Me. That's kind of a sleazy, sounds like a Mercury Deacon co-write. It reminds me a little bit of like Cool Cat from Hot Space in '82. Kind of soundtrack music, yeah, it's a bit mellow. Not their best work by all means, but you know, it's kind of a breathing number on the album. It kind of mellows out. And then Was It All Worth It? Again, this is a return to Majestic Queen. It's fantastic. They're kind of asking, was it all worth it? You know, the trip through the last 10 or 15 years of rocking that they were after doing and stuff like that. They were nearly 20 years in the game at this stage. Probably were, yeah, by '89. That's The Miracle. It was, like I said, at the time I liked it, I bet, you know, and they were back in the charts. And like I said, 5 singles came off it. But the opening, I mean, Party, yeah, it's a terrible opener for an album, and it's even a drum machine, which is even worse. It would definitely not be my favourite Queen album, and as years have gone on, I've come to dislike it a little bit more, I'll be totally honest. A lot of fans love it and they want a box set and they want the whole shebang. There is some good outtakes from the sessions, and I've heard them and they're fantastic, and they're releasing one soon, I think. Face It Alone or something like that. They probably will do a box set, I bet you they will, for Christmas. Yeah, it sounds likely. So yeah, that's it. That's The Miracle. You know, like I said, it's a kind of an album that there was kind of an emptiness and a hollowness to, because of, you know, what was going on, and I think the fans didn't know, and we were a bit kind of in the dark, and you can't blame the band. But, you know, Innuendo came along in early 1991, and then that is a fantastic album. And then when we did see Mercury, we knew he was ill. There was no more questions asked, really. It was an album made by a man who looked like he was seriously ill. It's incredible for that alone. So yeah, Miracle, it kind of leaves a strange taste. Tell me what you think. Feel free to subscribe. Thanks for watching and take care.